Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you don't mind, before we get started, do me a huge favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you like seeing my face get smashed in like this. No, but if you want to learn about like smart money and learning how to time the markets and things like that, please hit the like button, hit subscribe. It definitely helps me cut through the YouTube algorithms and gets people to see my content. Thank you very much, and enjoy. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Ted! It's Ted, guys. It's Ted. If you don't remember me, I guess you just don't remember me. Anyways, I'm that guy who sits here, talks about charts. It's really kind of boring. So if you don't like charts, probably don't like what I do. But I try to teach people about smart money. It's a specific kind of chart reading. Institutional, I guess is what other people would call it. Institutional, right? Institutional. The way the banks trade, right? I'm trying to read how they trade, so that way you don't get caught up trading how you would have been taught to trade, I guess, or how I was originally taught to trade, right? What we call retail trading. You don't get caught up in the retail trading, and you look at it from a different kind of perspective. That, this is a little bit what I do, kind of. So, that's what I do, right? If you don't like it, you can turn it off now. But don't forget to hit that like button. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Anyways, yeah, let's see what happened today. I'll go over my usual. I stick to a couple different things, right? And I'll try to teach you what I look for, right? And what I would advise you to do is to take a couple pairs or crypto or whatever it is that you like, right? And then look for those same kind of things, right? Try to look, back test them, go back in time, and look for these support resistance areas and look for this, liquidity areas and stuff like that, and see the reactions that happened, and see, try to figure out what's going to happen. So rule number one, right? Form a daily bias, right? It's kind of harder to do with crypto because crypto is kind of non-stop, unlike Forex, where Forex has almost like a design pattern as to when the market is going to be going, right? The market is going to be, basically starting at, midnight New York time. That's basically when like the European session starts, and then it goes until 11 a.m. New York time, which is basically when the British session ends. So it's a good 12 hours of activity. Unfortunately, most Americans are asleep for more than half of it. Luckily not me lately. I have to work earlier now, which has gotten me up earlier and gotten to look at charts earlier, and I've been able to see a couple different things. Especially today, I watched GU, Ethereum, and Litecoin, and watched some things transpire and caught some good trades. So let's take a look at some charts. Shall we head over there? Shall we? Oh, see, I'm looking over here because that's where my computer is. So I'm looking at myself, but I want to look right here because that's where the camera is. Right. So, anyways, this is Litecoin here. So I drew this yesterday. If you watched my video yesterday about what I thought Litecoin was going to do, I said Litecoin is probably going to get up to this support area, right, or this resistance area, and I even drew out what it could possibly do, right? It can poke through it, and then or touch it, pull back, and then poke through it, and then pull back down, and then go up, and it kind of did that. It really kind of did that. It's just not as dramatic as I have it drawn. One thing I have to learn is I have to learn that and one thing I have been learning, I should say, is that crypto does not have the pullbacks that Forex does. Right, so Forex would have had a pullback of, you know, like this all the way down to here, where crypto's new wave starts like somewhere up here, right, and the pullback is just underneath that. It's really interesting how I'm starting to learn these things, incorporating smart money with crypto, because I really don't see too many people doing it. So that's why I'm trying to do it as much as possible. I haven't really, you know, you can see a lot of people talk about smart money and institutional trading with, forex pairs and gold and silver and, you know, things like that. But you really don't see it a lot with crypto. But I see it in crypto. It's just a little bit different. But you know, like I said, the thing that I thought would play out kind of did. It just did it in a little bit different way. You know, it came up, and instead of getting to this line right here, right? So instead of this being the support, what it did is you have basically 3 points of support here, right? So it kind of gave you this, and then it gave you this, and then it came up here again, and it was like, okay, so here's the point to sell. So it starts selling off, and then what does it do? Right, boom, turns it right back around, goes right up through the area where I thought it was going to go, right, and then pull back right after that. So as soon as you put that buy stop on it, and you think it's going to take off, and you think and it did this. Look, it even pulled back, touched, and then took off, as if it was just going to go forever. And then boom, right back. So this was a huge fake out. This was a big institutional move. I mean, especially for something like Litecoin, right? You don't see this kind of move in Litecoin, really. This was a big one. I mean, I mean, go back and look at Litecoin. I mean, there are institutional moves in Litecoin, and it does, you know, certain things, but you know, especially back through here. Let's see. You know, this one, it just kind of like touched up, you know, went through the high and then kind of pulled back a little bit and then took off. But this one, you know, after it got settled, well, first it got to, you know, a new high, pulled back a lot, you know, found a new support, and then kind of just trailed up. And then gave you a little fake out like it was going to sell, and took off as if it was going to buy, and then boom. I mean, this was it. I don't know how many people were trading in this area, but I know if they were trading as if they would retail, they wouldn't have seen it coming, right? And they probably had taken out of their trade. But it did like I thought it was going to do. Instead of hitting this, though, it did more of something like this, right? Well, I guess I could add one more in there, but you know, came up here, came back down, took off, then fell, right? And then I said it would probably come back up and then keep going, right? So, not as dramatic as what I had drawn out, but still, nonetheless, the idea was there, right? Oops. Let's see this, and let's put this over here, and then just pull this down. So, you know, it was something more along the lines like that, right? So it was close. It was close. But still, it was pretty much the idea that I was thinking of, right? It was going to come up here, right? Get people, start sucking them into sells. And as soon as it's sold, right, it would buy. Then as soon as it went through the, you know, the support, or yeah, the support zone, sorry, the resistance zone, then it would pull back through, right? I said this all yesterday. It's exactly what it did, right? So again, these are the things you got to watch out for. So what I did is, especially whenever I saw it bounce, right? This is all around the same time. I was also watching GU, and it was also getting close to like a low, so it was hard to do. But I did catch the sell on the way down. That was the good thing. I was actually just getting back from lunch, and I was watching it I was watching it go kind of straight across and go down, and I said if it pulls up one more time, that's probably when the sell will be. And what I did is I took a look at this kind of apparatus, right? And I didn't use this, but what I did is I took a fib, if I can find it. Took the fib, and then I waited till it got to this low point here, right? And then I thought it might get a little bit lower, and it wait till it retraced until about the 75%. So as it kind of just sat here, you know, in this lull, as soon as it started to pull up, I entered right here. As soon as it started to pull back up into this area. Oops. Because I thought it, like I said, it was going to pull up through that area and then go down and take out everybody who thought it was going to blast off. So I didn't think it was going to blast off. Because also at the same time, this is when Bitcoin was also hitting its 40,000. So I knew it was probably going to fall too. I probably should have been focused on that one. I would have made way more money. But I was focused on Litecoin because I had been watching it. So instead, I entered the trade right. Is that right at around 180.30 or something like that? Yeah. It's somewhere around in there. It was 180.30 on my end. I know that. So close enough. Coordinates 180.30. Right, got it on the sell. And then where did I get out at? I wanted to use this as a measurement, but then I also knew we also had a lot of liquidity waiting underneath here, and it just so happened that the liquidity waiting under there was also 3 times the amount of the trade, basically. So three times the symmetry of the trade, right? So there was my exit point. So it was at 166.71. I went from 180.30 to 166.71. So forgot. I don't know really how many pips that is. Is that over 2,000 to 200 something maybe? I don't know. It was enough for me to stop trading for the week. That's for sure. But I'll trade again tomorrow. I just got I want to say I got lucky, but no, I didn't, because I kind of knew this was coming. And as soon as I measured that out and saw that 3, right, that the 3 times is, it probably went another 4 times, honestly, if we actually horizontal line. Let's actually bring up the fib, and let's do in this, and let's do a -4. Jeez, it got down to -4, and that was right underneath this one. Imagine if I'd have held on that long. That'd have been another, what, 30? See, 10 pips is $1. Is that what it is? Dollars. Yeah, dollar would be 10 pips. Okay, so yeah, they've been 30, another 30 pips. So still, I can't calculate calculations on my head. 180 on this one. So we what, 140 pips. 140 pips I've made on one move in about, what, 20 minutes or something like that. 35, 25. Wasn't bad. So was proud of that one. Um, Gotta say at the least. Uh, but those, like I said, those kind of things you got to look for. You got to understand that that's going to be happening uh, before you can get into the mindset of that kind of trading, right? So again, I knew it was going to be coming up and taking out liquidity, right? And then everybody was going to be thinking it was going to take off, right? Because I saw it come back and touch this, right? And just pull up, and then just stopped, right? And I thought, you know what? If this thing was actually going to take off, it would take off, but it didn't. Instead, it started pulling back, and that's how I knew it was going to start selling. So I just waited and I waited and I waited for it to pull up to that, that 0.75. And as soon as it got there, I put in my sell, and then whoom, it just dropped. And then I had my stop loss. I forgot. It was probably a good $10 stop loss whenever I put it in there, because I was honestly afraid it was gonna come down, hit this, and then turn around and go right back up. I really was. But it just kept going, and slowly feeding down, slowly feeding down. I just held on to it, and it got to my level that I wanted it to, which was right underneath these lows right here. These two equal lows, that's where I was thinking it was going to get, because that's where I thought the liquidity was. And I thought it was going to stop there and then turn around, but it even reached a little bit further and got underneath this low here. So although at first, like I said, I was expecting it to get down to here. I really was. I at least wanted to get a good exit point, right? So I got a good exit point here. All right, so that was Litecoin. That was what happened with Litecoin today. Let's check out to see what happened with Ethereum. Why is there a trade on here? Is there a trade on here? Oh, I have a buy limit set. Oh, okay. I forgot. So yeah, like I said, I thought crypto is not as dramatic as Forex. So like I said, I was expecting a little bit more of a pullback from Ethereum. I didn't trade Ethereum today, but I just want to take a look at it, because there is, I mean, it still could possibly do this, because it looks like it is getting exhausted, right? I said this yesterday, whenever right around in here, that what could happen is that since it is, I mean, this trend line is starting to peter out. It's not so much a trend line anymore, right? It's starting to fall to the wayside, right? Starting to get cut through. But there is kind of still of a guidance area, I guess you could say. So there is still kind of liquidity in this area. Also, you still have that one part where it fell down to around 1120, where it bounced from, and then it fell down to it almost again today. Where was that? About 1140 it fell down to. I'm thinking it could get down to about 1075, right? I think that's where I have my buy limit set, because that would get, right, so you have, let me close this up. So let me take away this line here. So why do I think it's going to get that low? I could, and then start buying again. Well, if we want, I'm fairly bullish, okay, on Ethereum. Two, we have to think about areas of liquidity, right? So first, it made these two equal highs, right? I knew it was going to pass up through there, right? So boom, there it goes, passes up through there, makes two equal highs again, boom, passes up through there. So here, not so much equal highs, but you can, if it falls down, it drops below these lows, right? So to where people might have their buy limit set, right? Probably right above that, thinking that this is going to be the stop loss. Boom, goes through that. So kind of the same idea, right? Except for it's just a little bit lower. People think that right here might be the area to buy from. Right here would be your stop loss, right? Instead, it would probably still go through that. and then hit this area here because of this little candle here. There is a, what I call it, area of displacement, right in this area. So these are the kind of candles you have to look for. It's going to be your last down push, right, before your big up push, right? So here you have a small consolidation. In that small consolidation, you have a basically where somebody could just, basically, like I said yesterday, they just drop a big pile of cash on the floor, right? They just drop a bunch of it, and then everybody wants to just run and buy up all that cash, right, or whatever, or crypto, I guess you could call it. So they drop it all down, right, and then they buy it all back up because it's all just laying there, and so they push it down really quick to get a discount, and then they push it right back up, and then boom, it takes off. So so what they're basically doing, and they may, the theory behind this, right, and I'm not for sure if this is still happening, but it probably could be, because this has made people a lot of money recently. That what has happened is that there is a short position right in here, right, to where they had sold, right, but they have enough money to hold on to it, right? So they're in the red, and they're in the red really deep. The whole point is to get back to that area, right, to where they sold in the first place. They sold to get to a good point, so to where they could buy, right, to just get a little bit extra, so where they can where they started buying, it would make their pocketbooks a little bit more fatter, way more fatter than what it would have been had they just taken off and bought, right? So that's kind of the little clues that they give you, right? But instead, it may not have been from that point. Like I said, since it already has dropped below this area here, it may have been from one of these areas. I am not 100% sure, but generally this is kind of the things that you look for. This is an area that you would look for it to return to, just to close up, that period to where they sold and then bought really quickly. So we wait for it to return to that area, and then once it returned to that area, what do they do with that trade? They close it out, and then they buy, right? Or they could have, I mean, with crypto, that's the thing about crypto, is that sometimes things are so instantaneous, is that they may have been able to push that sell and then buy just as quickly as releasing the sell. Usually that doesn't happen, because if you're putting more money in, right, to boost up the sell than what you did to push down, by the time you actually put in the buy, you're already in the negative, right, from when you put in the sell. So unless they just went ahead and took a small loss right after that, it may not be returning to that area, which is possibly what could have happened, right? But people usually don't like to take those kind of losses. They will somehow force their way back to this area that where they don't have to take that loss, right? At least that's what we see in the Forex world. See, that's the thing, is that you have all these areas of liquidity, which also make me think that as well. So you have like these equal lows here, right? So this is an area where people think it would come back. If it came back to it, they would start buying from, and instead it would just push through, right? And it would push through to the area where it first pushed down and then up, right? So you have two of these kind of areas. You have another one here, right? People see this as a support now, right, because it fell back down to this zone, kind of lays on top of this one, not so much, but a little bit. So, but let's just say that doesn't happen, right? That's just right now, that's honestly wishful thinking. But I still have my buy limit set for that, as you can see. What would Ethereum be doing now? To be honest, I think it's it's getting a little exhausted. As you can see, the RSI has. I usually don't look at you know indicators or anything like that, but you know sometimes you kind of have to, depending on what's going on with the market. You can see it definitely got a week. I usually use a double RSI. I use one that's a 14 period and one that's a 29 period. The 14 period will give you kind of the sharp movements that happened. 29 period will be one that's a little bit more smoother. So you can kind of see, you know, what's happened to it, you know, overall and within a short-term sense, right? So, you know, there's really no divergence. So I would assume that it's still bullish. At least I'm not spotting any divergence. I am on the 5 minute. Let me check the 1 hour here. Probably where I should be checking divergence. Well, yeah, actually there kind of is. I forgot about this big part right here. So this huge area right here, and definitely way oversold, right? And it was pulling back by the time I got to here. But it was still going down. But here it was oversold, boom, there we go. And that was the last one. At that point, you can see it's going to go down, or you can see it's going to drop. Strength still not there. But it still is. I mean, it's still in it's still above 50, right? Yeah, the 15 or the 14 and the 29 period are still both above the 50. Here you have a high, here you have another high, here you have a high, here you have another high. You know, I still think it's bullish. So you just had a good run up here that kind of brought it down and you know, exhausted it out for a little bit. But we also got to think about where we are, and I think I even drew these periods out previously, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe not. That's just where my zones are. Let's check out, and sorry, I'm going back in time to find out, you know, what were the previous levels. And it looks like where's the price at right now? 12.15. It's hovering right around this high, so I think that's why it has probably kind of exhausted itself out. So let's go ahead and highs I like to do blue. It matches my MT4. High. I'll just put high. Hi, hello there. All right, so that would be high. Let's actually put a date to it as well. What was that? January 28th. Hey, that's not too far away from 28th. What I mean by equal highs is that there's basically two candles side by side, equal highs, plus, you know, there's not too much of a difference in between this candle and this candle. $10. That's enough for liquidity to draw toward it. So now that we have all of that kind of mapped out, let's check out where we're at. Oh, come on. Isn't there like a faster way of doing this? Like there's gotta be. All right. All right, let's check out the 4-hour structure here. Let's get rid of some of these. All right, so, oh, boom, hit both bearish breakers. So that's probably what is causing this retraction right now. So, comes up, boom, hits the bearish breakers, retracting, right? Your last down up push, it's already hit it, right? Would have been this guy over here, right, in a 4-hour sense. But it could be pushing down even further, right? So if that's the case, that's why I'm looking at where I'm looking at, right? You may be a little bit higher, but then again, you also have that area of liquidity right here, I don't think it would just go to this area of liquidity and then stop and then turn around and go this way. I think it would take out another area of liquidity as well. Right, I think it could get down into this red candle. This is the candle that you want to be looking at. Like I said, there's a red candle within this red candle, right? And that's the candle that I pointed out. I said that this is the candle I think it's probably going to come down to. And now looking at it on a 4-hour sense, I definitely think if we're going to have any kind of drawback, especially a major one, this is the area I would definitely be looking toward before we see some positive action, right? So around 1075. But who knows what you could see. You could see a little bit of a dramatic drop, right? And then you could see a big pump up really quick, right? And whenever you see that, whenever you see an engulfing, like engulfing candle like this, right? Generally, whenever it drops back down to the bearish candle, right? It'll usually bounce off of that, right? It'll usually bounce off of that and then keep going up. And so far, it doesn't look like there has been a close below this bearish candle. So far, that is good news. So we might start seeing it tick up right now. Right now, I'm personally not taking, well, especially trading Ethereum, I'm not taking any chances on it. You know, I just have a buy limit set here, that's all. And I have that set in Robinhood as well. Just like in case it comes down here, I can invest, you know, a certain amount. That way I'm not investing way up at the top and then losing out a huge percentage when it does, you know, fall down. Most of my percentage that I want to invest is set aside for, you know, this area down here. If it doesn't hit it, then I'll wait for another time. But generally, it's more about the percentage that you can save than it is about where the money's at right now. Right. So it's really, I mean, it's all you can really say about Ethereum right now is it's at a level to where you should see a bounce, right, and then start to rise. It's at that level, but it also came up underneath those breakers, right, from 2018, and I mean it already went through those highs from the 2018, you know, those midterm highs, went through those highs, and then now it's inside, basically. If you think about the big apparatus that had those highs, right, up in here, and those areas that came down, right, so it looked like this, had the high, came down, and then hit right here, came up another high, and then came down, you know, pumped up, and then went like that. So whenever you think about those kind of areas from back in 2018, once it comes up underneath and it hits that same kind of price action, that's going to kind of stop it from propelling forward, right? And that's what you would see in normal price action too. If I can find maybe a real life example here. Like this. Here you go. So you have see it comes down, it pulls down, then it pushes up, right? And then it falls down below it, and then it comes back up, and as soon as it comes back up to the same level, boom, it gets rejected again, right? So at least that's what I see out of this candle. You can see that it came all the way down, but then it came back up, right, and then got rejected again. So came back up to this level, got rejected, right, and then started finally pushing its way back up and out of it. So that's what it could be doing right now. Is that it came up underneath that candle from way back when. Boom, came up underneath it. Boom, got rejected, right? And now it could be trying to come back up and out. Or since this is, that very big area, this is an area to where a lot of people could be, I'm seeing all kinds of stories about people taking profits and paying off, their debts that they've had for years. They're debt free now. They don't have to worry about anything. So you could be seeing a lot of people looking at what they have that they've invested in, most of their, all the people that believed in crypto for so long. And now, Bitcoin hits 40,000, and Ethereum's almost at a new all-time high, and people are probably invested somewhere $20,000-$30,000 of it prior to this year, and now within a couple months they're millionaires. So instead of actually sticking with it and holding on to it, they're gonna say, I'm in a crazy time right now. I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I want to make sure I have a roof over my head, and I want to make sure I have some money for food. Something of that nature, right? So you could be seeing a lot of people cashing out right now, and waiting to see what's going to happen next. So you could see the slide down a little bit more. And if you do, like I said, I'm looking at this area right here, around 1075, 1080, right? Probably, at the very least, 1115. All right, that's going to be the top of your order block, right? It's actually 1114.24, right? So that whole area in there is going to be the area for me, I think, to watch. Right, so I'm just going to draw this out for good old sake. I don't know why that just popped up. I think this is where Ethereum may pull back to. I mean, who knows? It took off like a bat out of hell. I mean, it didn't even look twice after it, got past 800. I mean, I was trading it down here at 732. I remember I pulled up, I think the other night. I was bought at 732, and I was just throwing in, momentum lots and waiting until it got to 757. And then I got out of that trade because I saw the liquidity there, and I was like, all right, it's up out of there. I'm probably going to stop soon. And, it didn't. It just kept going and going and going and going. And, yeah. Now it's at almost 1300. Crazy. Yeah, as you can see, it's starting to fall a little bit more. So we shall see. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Ethereum. That is, let's actually get into 1 hour. I mean, that's kind of an overall kind of look at it. We get on the 1 hour. Here it looks a little bit more promising, right? Let me put this here. It looks a little bit more, well, it already did bounce off of that, so I don't know about that. Never mind. Bounced off of that area a couple times. So here would be your last, bullish breaker if you really wanted to see it take off. So after pushed down from here, came up, they hit the bearish breaker. Right, boom, hit the bullish order block, right, came back up, came back down, hit the bullish order block, came back up. It's also came back down and hit the bullish order block again. So this line right here at 12:15, it has hit 3 times at least. And that would be where I would think it would come down into and then take off from there. But if it goes through that, right? And then you're going to look for it to come back up underneath it and then hit it and then probably drop off. And if it does that, then I would be looking toward this area. So it's interesting what's happening to Ethereum right now. That being said, we'll come back to it maybe. I want to take a look at let's take a look at something I haven't taken a look at in a while, but I did watch today. I did put it. Actually, I woke up with money today. I forgot about. It is not in crypto, but it was gold. So I set a trade yesterday before I had went to bed. It was at 12 or 19. Sorry, 19, 12, 1912, something like that. I'll have to see whenever it pulls up. I want to say it was 1912, 1914. I'm gonna have to get rid of these guys here. Well, first let's take a look at the RSI, see what happened. A little bit oversold. Boom, fell. That was a couple days ago. And then it was after it fell, everybody was screaming buy, buy, buy. And I wasn't thinking buy. I was thinking that's a trap. It's going to get lower. But I probably should have. I did scalp it. I think I did get a scalp at that point. I got a scalp from 1905 to 1908. Whenever it did do that a couple days ago. But it was this morning when I woke up. We get into the 5-minute of it. I'll show you what I did. I saw this right here. Maybe it was this right here. And as I was going up yesterday and I saw doing this, I saw this area right here, and I saw this as the bullish order block. I didn't, at this point, I went to sleep. Of course, I wasn't even awake at this time to even measure this out. So I didn't know, you know, if it pulled back to this, if it would be the 65%, 62% or not, or whatever. I just put my trade in at 1912. Yeah, that's what I was saying, 1912. So that's where I put my trade in. And it was at about 5 o'clock in the morning when I woke up. And when I woke up, it was at about 1918. And I closed the trade soon after, just because I felt like I was in a good enough profit, and I didn't. I was afraid if I held on to a little bit too much longer, because I was looking at what it was happening, and I saw the order block, right? So again, the last down up move, right? Last down up move. I always talk about those, and that's what had happened here. The last push down before the push up. I knew if it entered this zone, right, it probably had a good chance of getting rejected and going the other way. And that's what happened. So if I draw a horizontal ray from this area here, from this red candle, right, or even here, right, even there is actually the start of it. But I was thinking here. But I was also thinking of the spread. So that's why I thought 1912 would be a good place to enter. So if we want to look at 1912, close enough, right? It comes down, hits 1912, and then boom, goes up the other way, and it doesn't clear these highs. So this is, I'm glad I got out here, because I was waiting to see if it was going to clear those highs, and it didn't. Right, it didn't clear those highs. I got out at around 1918, so it was somewhere around here, because it was pulling back whenever I got out, because I was hoping it was going to clear these highs, and if I didn't see it clear those highs on the first run, I wasn't going to wait to see if it was going to try to do it on a second one. So I got out at 1918, a good 60 pips to wake up to, and I think I'd do. I think if you watch the video from yesterday about me, setting limits, you'll probably see it in, in my MT4 where I set some kind of limit. I delete it. You'll see that there's an actual XAU trade that's already set there. and you'll see that that's what I had set and I had left overnight. So got a good one on that one. What is going to happen with gold now? Good question. Especially think about it. Really not much going on here with the MACD. Doesn't really seem like, it's just kind of twirling around. It seems that their momentum could be pushing a little bit upwards. I think to get a good understanding, though, we may have to look at the dollar. Probably where I should have started first. I don't even know where we're at with the dollar right now, to be honest. So I have all these liquidity draws. I knew it was going to get up. Did it actually get up and touch it? No, it never got back up to it. Well, I want to get rid of this really quick. Oh. No. See, I thought I was going to get up past this green and then touch this white line. The reason I thought that was because there's equal highs here. I thought I was going to get past that, and then there is a breaker right here. Right, so that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to break up past this, hit this, and then go back the other way. And I was waiting the entire time, because if it was going to do that, I was going to buy both GBP and GBP USD and Euro USD at the exact same time. But it got to here and then turned around, and I never got the chance to do it. I scalped it a little bit as it was kind of going down, but I was afraid it was going to come back up. So that's all I did was scalp it, and I didn't hold on to it. But if it was going to come up to here and then do what I thought it was going to do, I was definitely going to hold on to that trade and all the way up until now. And it looks like that's what could be happening, right? So we're seeing this kind of surge in the dollar, right? So if we're seeing this kind of surge in the dollar, let's take a look at all of them, right? Let's take a look at the dollar pairs along with some forex, or along with gold, I mean. So let's check out GU, right? And then let's also check out EU. If I'm boring you guys, I am sorry. I'm really, really not sorry. But anyways, like that little trick? Yeah, I thought you would. All right. Anyway, all right, so I'm looking at gold here and looking at the dollar, and I'm seeing the dollar trying to push itself up, right? And gold is kind of hanging around. Now, I've been drawing these lines out, right, for basically start at 11 or at midnight New York time, going to noon the following day. So the time when the trading period is mostly active, right? So and I'm looking at this, and generally that acts almost as like a support and resistance zone almost every time. So here you can kind of see it as, even though it fell through it, it still acted as support, came up here, kind of like a support, threw up here, acted as kind of resistance, came down here, a little bit of a support, came up here, a bit of resistance, down the whole time. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at this level here. I'm thinking about what's going to happen next. It's already came up to it, right, and started declining. So I'm thinking it probably could do it one more time, right? And the way the dollar is acting, if it's going to keep going up the way it is and where I think it's going to go, especially once dollar like breaks highs, that's when, gold has a tendency to make a really, really kind of big move. I had to get my drink. So it doesn't necessarily have to make a huge move, but what you could see is it could, push down below these lows, right? The lows that it's currently at. So it looks like almost like some equal lows here. And then below these 2 daily lows. I'm not really seeing a good order block though until you get way down here. I don't think it would get down to 1882 from 1915, but it could. I'm not for sure. But that is a 4-hour chart. Let's check out the 1 hour, see if we can't find anything a little bit more significant. There's really no equal lows. Well, there's kind of some equal. No, there's a spike through that. I mean, right through here, there's a little bit of equal lows, but still, I think right here would probably be maybe your best shot. Is there any? There's really not. Well, yeah, kind of. There's a little bit of a wick on that. So if there's a wick on that, it means it comes back up, pushes up, and then pushes back down. So you could see a breaker right there, or an order block, sorry, have an effect. So you could see it trade down to here, right, to this 1895, and then go up. That's where I would think it would trade to. Not for sure what time. I might actually just set a buy limit in my sleep like I did with this last one. Because that's like the third time that's happened to me with gold. I just put a buy limit and I'll wake up in the money, and I like it. So 1895, that's where I think it would go to, because it's going to try to break these lows, right? So one thing I always talk about, I should probably explain things a little bit better. I know I should, have a daily bias, know that price is going to try to break either the daily highs or the daily lows, right? And look for levels of liquidity, or highs or lows, that work could be reaching for equal, if they're equal, especially things like that. That's why I'm thinking, the dollar is reaching for this area up here, because it has set all of these highs kind of in this same area. So you have a high here, you have a high here, you have equal highs here, and then over here you have some equal highs. So the dollar could be reaching pretty high right now. It could be. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to. And then it has this gap still. So, and where that gap currently is, right, to the current Fibonacci that I have set for it, is exactly at basically one asymmetrical trade. So it could get to one asymmetrical trade and close in on that gap, but also get to the 127 and then close that gap. And get a little bit higher and close that gap. So, and why do I have that symmetrical trade set like that? Well, let's take a look at the 5-minute of it, and I'll show you why. Because that was the last down push before you had I guess I could put it down here, to be honest, but I didn't like this area because you already had this, then you had this push, then it came back up to about the same area, and then boom, that's when it took off. So that's why I put it right here, because this seemed like the last area of displacement. It came back down into the 0.75 zone and then bought, which is what you would normally see. So to me, this is the Fibonacci that I think should be placed and would be placed if I was to pull it down just a little bit further. And let's see where that full one takes us to. To take us to that gap is what I'm looking for. Yes. That full one actually not only takes us to a gap, but I think it takes us to a 5-minute order block. Just above a 5-minute order block. Well, it's a level I have marked for some reason, but it's right on it. So maybe that is the level. But I don't like that level because that only comes back down, doesn't even touch the 0.62. So that's the reason I don't like that level. So I'm going to go back and set it the way I had it before. Just because that level made a lot more sense to me. So set it down here. There we go. Comes back. It's the 0.75. And then probably see it rise above here. And then there you go. Now it's to the 1.275 is where that level is. So just a little bit below that. The one would actually close the gap now. I don't know how I moved it something differently, but the symmetrical trade of where it is now would actually close that gap. So I'm thinking that's probably what can happen with the dollar, right? Right, it opened up with a gap, and it's reaching for these higher levels. I don't know what's happening. I think the one theory that, you know, even though we're spending a lot of money and you know, the politics of the way that it's going, and you know, people are saying the dollar's in a downward spiral. I think the one thing that could be increasing the actual dollar of that value of the dollar is crypto. The fact that you're seeing these stories about people being off to people, you know, making all this money off of crypto and being able to cash out and pay off their loans and pay off their debts and pay off, I forgot what I, you know, all these stories that I've read, and that could be actually putting faith back into the dollar, is that people are now putting money back into the banks, to where, you know, they were once loaned, because crypto actually made them money. So this cycle could actually be helpful. This crypto cycle could, you know, it may not be the destruction of the dollar. It may actually be the savior of the dollar, right now. But we'll have to wait and see. But I know, first, right now, I think the dollar's gonna be going up, and I think it's gonna be trying to close that gap. And if that's the case, what we're going to be looking at was something like the euro. Geez, evidently, is that we could be looking at a lot lower prices with the euro. I have a lot of lines I probably need to take off of here, especially daily highs that are below here. Lows, we probably could be seeing it reach down to these daily lows, right? Probably below this low here. And here you have some equal lows. Here you have some equal lows. You could see it get down to, you know, 1.26 or something, or 1.216. If the dollar, well, it just depends. Depending on how strong the euro is going to be. If the euro weakens, right, the euro weakens a lot, and the dollar strengthens, then you could see the euro go for a free fall for a little bit. So, and I was thinking that, you know, since the euro was, well, euro hit, you know, its big apparatus from 2018, that, you know, it was going to try to eventually break those highs. I can probably get rid of this liquidity draw. I know there's two liquidity draw here. So there's one right here, and there's one right here. But we're far away from that right now. So we got to think about where the liquidity draws at, where we're at right now. Is this one here, right? Another one over here. Basically this right here, I definitely, and I was waiting for it to break this daily low all day, right? Once I saw that we had broken already one low, you know, before I woke up, I was thinking that we were going to break another low. So I didn't play with euro today because I was waiting for it to get below this low. It didn't. So I did not put any trades into euro USD today. And I'm still waiting for it to do that. So what I'll be looking for is I'll be looking for a sell, but unfortunately, it looks like I've already missed it. So it looks like it's already happening. So by the time you guys see this video, who knows what could be happening with Euro USD? It could be down to, you know, down in the 222s or something like that. So we shall see. GU, same kind of thing, right? You know, it's kind of has a stage set of a bunch of equal lows, kind of like what the dollar has, with all its equal highs kind of right there together. So we could see it drop below that. Here's some equal lows as well. Could see it drop below those. And then here we have a big cluster F. And this is where I would expect it to stop. Right here. I don't think it, I mean, we could probably see it drop below a bunch of daily lows, but to get past this one with all of this right here, I do not see that happening. Even with the liquidity pool here, and there's also, I think, what's it called? I'm looking for imbalance. There's some imbalance right here. You know, I think the buck stops here. So, I would definitely be looking at this area in between here, which should be 1.31571, and here 1.35003. So it's a good 20 pip range to buy in, right? Definitely, I wouldn't expect it to get below, you know, 300. That's for sure. That's a good 60 pip range, you know. So then again with this, I would expect to see a sell until I see the DXY get up. I'm going to be watching this to see, until I see it close this gap and hit this one, right? That's what I'm going to be waiting for. Because look, it's already coming to break these highs. Look at it. This is what I was waiting for earlier. I was waiting for it to come up here, hit this, and then bounce back. Oops, I moved it. And it's going right through it. Oh, maybe bouncing back now. All right, let's see what. Oh, just broke the daily low. Wow, this is happening during the Asian session. This is interesting. This is what I was waiting on all day long, and now that it's happened, I'm not prepared to trade. I'm not going to trade, because I have it wrote in my trading book, or my trading manual, my trading plan, I guess you could say. I do not trade the Asian session, right? I just don't do it. I only trade, you know, any time in between 2 a.m. and 11 a.m., 12 a.m., you know, noon, somewhere around there. And then sometimes I'll put in a trade at the very end of that and then just let it go and see what happens. But yeah, look at that. And now it's still going down, which means the DXY is reaching. Let's see what GU is doing. So it's not reaching as hard. Not nearly reaching as hard as the euro is. The euro is going. DXY, all right, still reaching. We could see it close that gap for the end of the night. That being said, let's check out what the gold's doing. That gold is falling as well. Not falling nearly as hard as what I thought it would be. Especially now that it has taken out some highs. It's like people still have some faith in gold. As the dollar climbs, as the euro drops. So tomorrow should be an interesting day. We'll have to see what happens, what comes out of this. We'll have to see if the XY closes this. If it does, where is that going to stop this? Right? I think that could stop this right around, I think, the 2200 level. I really do. That's going to be right below these equal lows. Get an order block. There's an order block in here, right? And then we could see it take off the other way. Oops. Didn't mean to move that. Or maybe that is the order block. Or it could be in here. There it is. 21981. 21981, I think, is going to be my prediction as to where it could turn around, where the dollar closes the gap. It'll be right around this point, and then it finally turns around and goes the other way. 30 pip loss. Would actually take it below some lows, so who knows? It could actually get below that as well. But we should see. And then with GU, yeah, I'm thinking to definitely get below these lows, but I think right around here, same thing, long position, somewhere around in here. Definitely not that big of an area. We could see something like that happen. And then with gold, I don't know. Gold's a little bit of a mystery here. I think it would try to take out, a couple of these daily lows. I think it would try to get down here to 1895. Like I said, I think that was my first call, and that'll be my call here. Gold 1895, no less than 1880. And then I think it's going to try to clear that high, 1928, 1930. All right, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. And you guys are amazing. Love y'all. Enjoy yourselves. Don't go out and do any rioting, please. Be kind to each other. Be kind to each other. That's all we want in this world, right? It's world peace and love and hippie stuff, dreadlocks, things like that. I don't know. Anyways, just remember to wear your pants too, okay? Good night. Any advice or information on this website is general advice only. It does not take into account your personal circumstances. Please do not trade or invest based solely on this information. By viewing any material or using the information within this site, you agree that it is general education material, and you will not hold any person or entity responsible for loss or damages resulting from the content or general advice provided here by Bodies and Wicks, its employees, directors, or fellow members. Futures, options, and spot currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets, as well as Forex. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy, sell, trade futures, spot Forex, CFDs, options, or other financial products. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in any material on this website. The past performance of any trading system or methodology
is not necessarily indicative of future results.